Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, yesterday's Financial Mail states the following, quote, after 100 days, the first rays of the new dawn expected of Cyril Ramaphosa's presidency can be seen. But while international investors are largely optimistic and supportive of the post-Zuma era, at home and within the ANC, conflict, disunity and uncertainty abound. And so whilst we see the new dawn, there obviously are a lot of concerns. However, we from the ACDP welcome the speedy steps taken in various aspects that the President referred to, and in particular, the steps to stabilize the SOEs. Already before the President's appointment, we had a new board at Eskom, and many of us that were involved in the Eskom inquiry welcome that step. From our side, we also look forward to, as far as Eskom is concerned, the repayment of the monies that were taken. McKinsey offered 1 billion rand to us in the Portfolio Committee. That has not yet been repaid, and we hope that the new board chairman of Eskom that was appointed yesterday and whose appointment we welcome will facilitate the repayment of the billions that were taken. We also welcome the appointments of new boards at Transnet and Denel as announced yesterday. Now, Chairperson, also yesterday we understand the Cabinet announced the establishment of the Presidential State-Owned Enterprises Council, with President Ramaphosa heading that up. We look forward to seeing the implementation of that and how the SOEs will be repositioned as effective instruments of economic development, and how the routine and state capture of SOEs will come to an end and how they will be recaptured. I thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, House Chair. House Chair, we appreciate that we've got severe financial and budgetary constraints, and therefore we as parliamentarians need to make use of every power that is at our disposal when we are considering this budget. And Minister of Finances, I appreciate that we've got one of the most transparent budget processes in the world. In fact, we've been evaluated in that regard. But as we all know, there are time constraints when we come to consider the budget. We've got very definite time constraints, and one of the issues that I would like to raise, and many parliamentarians are unaware of that, is that we passed the money bills, amendment procedures and related matters. And in terms of Section 10, it provides that Parliament must pass, with or without amendments, the Appropriation Bill within 4 months. Now, Section 10, 8C provides that other committees, and all MPs, let's bear this in mind, if you are a member of a committee, you can consult with the Committee on Appropriations in respect of proposed amendments to transfer payments, recurrent or capital expenditure of a vote or a main division within a vote, taking into consideration any report filed by the House. So what is that report? That would be the fiscal framework. So you've got to work within that fiscal framework. And then Section 8E says the Committee on Appropriations will then mediate between different committees, proposing conflict and amendments to the Appropriation Bill, and then report to Parliament. Now, this is a significant power because we pass the bill, we pass the budget in terms of the fiscal framework. And just as an example, in the Justice Committee, we've got severe constraints. Legal Aid South Africa has said they can no longer provide effective legal representation to all people that are accused or civil matters. Now, we know that they also do a lot of civil matters, and they also provide legal action and assist land claimants. This is an in-house, so legal advice that is provided. These are lawyers that they provide. We also know that the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform has set aside millions for private attorneys to deal with land claimants. Now, the ACDP suggested in the Justice Committee, let's take some of the money, or consider almost, I think it's 185 million that was paid to private lawyers by the Department of Rural Development and Land Reform, and let's transfer some of that to Legal Aid South Africa. How do you do that? We suggested use Section 10 and approach the Appropriations Committee, and let the Appropriations Committee then call in the Portfolio Committee on Rural Development, and then we can mediate that. And that proposal was accepted by the Justice Portfolio Committee, and we were then going to engage on that, but due to time constraints, Minister, time constraints, the committee indicated that it was unable to approach the Committee on Appropriations. So this is an example. It's a perfect application of how we can look at it's budget neutral. We were looking at funds in another division that could be shifted or part thereof to assist the Justice Portfolio Committee and to assist Legal Aid South Africa to resolve its issue and to help with land claims, to finalize land claims more quicker. So this is something that we believe that we should look going forward. How can we as parliamentarians effectively make use of this in our portfolio committees and have a mediation role with the Appropriations Committee? I thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the turnaround when it came to parliamentary oversight inquiries definitely started with the SABC inquiry, and it was an honor to serve with colleagues across all political parties as we delved into the rot at the SABC and we exposed what is going on there, and Parliament then accepted the resolution to hold various members accountable and the board accountable, and of course the board we know resigned. And I mentioned to my colleagues then, let's look into the ESCOM issue. That was an ad hoc committee, and at that time, understandably, there was a lot of pressure on those members. They said, let's leave that to a later stage. And then I was very grateful when I heard that the Public Enterprises Committee was going to investigate the ESCOM and hold an oversight inquiry. And so I want to commend all my colleagues involved in that inquiry, and we will be presenting a report to Parliament. But the levels of intimidation that they experienced and the levels of intimidation and death threats that witnesses experienced is something that we need to be aware of, and it is something that we have all condemned in the strongest terms, and it was an assault against Parliament itself. But Minister, I want to commend you as well and thank you for being part of that committee and the strong stance you took, and the fact that you have now, in this new dawn, replaced the board members. You have brought in strong management, particularly at ESCOM, and we look forward to a turnabout with ESCOM. It is a disgrace that ESCOM showed a nominal 1 billion rand profit off a 700 billion rand asset base, and in all likelihood will this year, up to March 2018, show a loss. So we welcome the turnaround there at that SOE and the other SOEs, and it's just regrettable that we, members of the Public Enterprises Portfolio Committee, are not able to delve deep into Transnet and the locomotive issues there. We've seen the allegations of corruption, 5 billion rand, which are the allegations involved in many people there, but we trust in that the Zondo Commission of Inquiry will look deeper into that. The ACDP also welcomes in particular the recommendations of lifestyle audits for senior management in SOEs, the fact that the policy of doing no business, your family or yourself as a manager with that SOE, and of course the criminal accountability in terms of the Public Finance Management Act, the Companies Act and the Corrupt Activities Act. But lastly, as I've said on a number of occasions, we cannot allow those directors that sat negligently, that might not have been directly involved in the fraud, but sat negligently and did not exercise their fiduciary duties, to just get off scot-free. Section 162 of the Companies Act makes it very clear that those directors can be held accountable and can be held delinquent directors. We cannot have the situation that they move from one directorship to another, whether it is SOEs or in the private sector as well, and they must be held accountable. So we look forward to accountability, we look forward to criminal accountability, civil accountability, and that estimated 100 billion rand to be returned to our country. The ACDP will support this budget vote. I thank you.